There were many motivations directly for the Black Excellence Network, because there were 4 of us that actually started it. I think ultimately our motivations were the same. I think having experience going through sixth form and just seeing all the barriers to higher education or studying a degree like medicine, we wanted to make sure that wasn't the case for people younger than us or people behind us, because there were a few people ahead of us that were helping us, but we just didn't see it on a wide scale. So seeing those barriers, which I'll probably get into later, we just wanted to kind of make that disappear and equal the playing field for Black students compared to other ethnicity students within the UK. So there's many, it's hard to speak on behalf of everyone, but in the Black Excellence Network, we've managed to narrow it down to 3 main ones. One of them is just a lack of awareness. There's so many opportunities out there, but we just don't know about them. There's even opportunities directly for Black students, but we're just not told about them. They're not really spread. So the Black Excellence exists to kind of solve that and share opportunities. 2 is, due to the lack of diversity, there's also like a low aspiration, because when you, for example, you want to study humanities, but you see no Black person in this university studying a humanities degree, or they're just really hard to find, automatically, subconsciously, you don't see yourself in that space, meaning that you just won't aim to get in that space. And it's not on purpose, it's not something that's thought about, oh, I see no one like me, not going to aim for it. It's just subconscious. You just don't believe it's for you, because if it was for you, someone like you should be there. And then the kind of 3rd main one is just, it's hard to summarize this one, but it's almost like a lack of advice, because once again of the lack of diversity above people. It means if I need advice as to, for example, how to get into this med school, it's very hard to search for someone who's had similar experiences than me that can ultimately help me. So we want to like bring us together so we can add value to each other. Many other communities have, like, for example, more parents who have gone to university, so then they understand the university life already. But for a lot of the Black community who have come to the UK, their parents haven't gone to university, meaning this is a whole new game they're kind of playing. So yeah, those are kind of the main barriers we see. One, I do think the application process, I think there's some work that needs to be done within that caters to a wider variety of people. I do think that, especially for me, because I had to do an extra interview called an MMI, all medical students do it. I think during that process, I think there's some inclusion that can be added in there, which would make me feel welcome. And ultimately more students would feel welcome and perform better during the interview. I think more opportunities for the Black community is something I'm really passionate about, and spreading the awareness of these opportunities, and more shared value between the Black community, and also through allyship, through other communities helping as we all help each other. I think that would make real change. But ultimately, I think a lot of what companies do to create change is plucking at leaves, because they solve one problem, another problem kind of grows. But we need to do things like talk to the Department of Education or talk to the board of the university to actually like cut the tree and make real change. I work for a company called Fair HQ, which is a tech startup in diversity and inclusion. And one thing I've realized whilst working for them is it's not enough to have unconscious bias training. In fact, research shows that a lot of unconscious bias training is rather ineffective, but rather institutional kind of things need to be done, like kind of regulations and different laws and different systems need to be changed to make things more to improve the inclusion and how fair systems are ultimately. So that's what I kind of envision. I envision policies in Russell Group bodies changing to, one, allow for a more diverse cohort to be brought into them, but also that they enjoy that university experience and don't feel like the university is ultimately working against them. So yeah, just real change which will require policy change ultimately. Because people need it. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, for them to care, they need to see action. And I think there's been a lot of talk, especially around last year, there was a lot of talk about black students because of the Black Lives Matter movement. However, unfortunately, it was a lot of talk. And I think for people to truly care, they need to see action. They need to see action. So that's why I think it's important organizations like the Black Excellence Network exist. Otherwise, we just end up with a lot of text rather than real change within the world, essentially. And yeah, we do really believe that in the Black Excellence Network. We are about the big picture ultimately, but also about the student themselves. So we believe the quote kind of is, when you use these opportunities, mentorship, consultancy to change one person's world, like you change their world, you're almost one step closer to changing the world. I know it sounds like super up in the air, but we are really passionate about that. We do believe that as we change one student's life, we're ultimately changing the world because we've equipped them to change someone else's life. So yeah, we're just really, really passionate about that.